The Great Pyramid of Giza had always been a riddle wrapped in stone, a monument that mocked us with its silence. For centuries, we'd chipped away at its mysteries, tombs, pharaohs, star alignments, but it never gave up everything. My name is Dr. Leila Hassan, and I'm a physicist, not an archaeologist. I study waves, sound, light, gravity, things you can measure, things that don't lie. So when I told my colleagues I was heading to Giza to chase a hunch, they laughed. "What's a physicist going to find that 1,000 diggers haven't?" they said. I didn't have an answer then. I do now. It started with a signal. Last year, I was tinkering with a prototype at Cairo University, a device I'd built to detect low-frequency gravitational waves, ripples in spacetime from black holes or dying stars. I called it the resonator. One night, it picked up something strange, a hum, steady and deep, coming from the northwest. I triangulated it, and the source landed smack in the middle of the Giza Plateau, 300 kilometers away. Not a star, not a quake, just the pyramid, sitting there like it was whispering to me. I ran the data again. Same result. I couldn't sleep after that. I spent months digging through old texts, cross-referencing every oddity about the pyramid I could find. There was a 19th century report of a British explorer hearing a low tone, like a bell tolling underground. A Bedouin legend about the earth singing before a sandstorm. Even Herodotus, 2,500 years ago, wrote of hidden chambers that hum with the voice of the gods. Coincidence, maybe. But I'm a scientist, I don't trust coincidence. I trust numbers. And the numbers said something was down there. Getting permission to investigate was a nightmare. The Egyptian authorities don't like outsiders poking around their history, especially not with experimental tech. But I had a friend, Karim, an engineer with connections at the Ministry of Antiquities. He pulled strings, and in September 2025, I got my shot, 2 weeks at Giza, unsupervised, with a small team. Just me, Karim, and Amina, a geologist who'd once mapped caves under the Sphinx. We packed the resonator, ground-penetrating radar, and enough batteries to last a month. On the drive out, Karim joked, "If we find aliens, I'm taking credit." I laughed. I'm not laughing now. We set up at the pyramid's northern face, where the signal was strongest. The first day was quiet, too quiet. The tourists were gone, the air still, the sand baking under a white sun. Amina ran her radar, and it pinged almost immediately, a void, 40 feet below the base, bigger than the king's chamber. Could be natural, she said, but her eyes said otherwise. Karim rigged a drill, and we bored through the limestone, slow and careful. At 38 feet, the bit hit something hard, metal, not stone. We switched to shovels and uncovered a slab, black and smooth, etched with a spiral of dots that looked like a constellation I'd never seen. It wasn't hieroglyphs. It wasn't anything I knew. The slab was cold, even in the heat, and when I touched it, my resonator spiked. The hum was louder now, vibrating through my boots. Karim found a seam and pried it open with a crowbar. A rush of air hit us, dry, metallic, like the inside of a machine. Below was a tunnel, sloping down into darkness. Amina hesitated. "This isn't on any map," she said. I didn't care. I grabbed a flashlight and went in. They followed. The tunnel was tight, walls glassy and black, reflecting our lights in smears. No dust, nowhere, just that hum, growing into a pulse I felt in my chest. After 50 yards, it opened into a chamber, and I stopped breathing. The room was circular, 30 feet across, with a ceiling that curved like a dome. In the center sat a device, a cube of dark metal, 6 feet tall, hovering an inch off the floor. Thin tendrils of light danced across its surface, red and gold, weaving patterns that shifted too fast to follow. Around it, the walls were carved with symbols, spirals, waves, lines that bent into impossible shapes. And above the cube, a faint shimmer hung in the air, like heat off pavement, but cold. Karim whispered, "What the hell is that?" I didn't know, but I turned on the resonator. The readings went wild, gravitational waves, yes, but layered with something else, a frequency I couldn't place. It's emitting, I said. Not just reflecting, generating. Amina circled the cube, her flashlight trembling. This isn't Egyptian, she said. This isn't human. I stepped closer, and the tendrils of light snapped toward me, then back, like they were alive. The hum sharpened into a tone, a note, clear and low, echoing off the walls. I should have stopped there. But I didn't. I pulled out a recorder and captured the sound, then hooked it to my laptop to analyze it. The waveform was complex, repeating every 13 seconds, like a code. I ran it through a spectral filter, and buried in the noise, I found something, a sequence, mathematical, precise. It wasn't random. It was a message. My hands shook as I decoded it, not words, not yet, but coordinates. Not on Earth. Out there, in the sky, 47 light-years away. Kareem was pacing now. Leila, this is insane. We need to leave. But Amina was staring at the shimmer above the cube. Look, she said. It was growing, stretching into a disk of light, 2 feet wide. Inside it, I saw stars, not ours, swirling in a void of deep blue. The cube pulsed faster, and the air thickened, pressing on my ears. I reached for it, instinct taking over, and my fingers brushed the metal. It was warm, alive, and the disk flared bright. A shock ran up my arm, and I stumbled back as the hum turned into a roar.
That's when the chamber shook. Dust rained from the ceiling, not dust, sand, sifting through cracks we couldn't see. Amina yelled, "We're destabilizing it." But it wasn't us. The cube was doing it, spinning now, its tendrils lashing out. The disk above widened, and something moved inside it, a shadow, long and thin, bending like liquid. It stepped through. It was tall, 8 feet at least, its body a sheen of silver that rippled with every move. No face, just a smooth curve where eyes should have been, reflecting us back in distorted glimpses. It didn't speak, but I felt it, a pressure in my skull, a question I couldn't hear. Kareem grabbed my arm. "Run," he shouted, and we did, scrambling for the tunnel. The thing didn't chase, it just stood there, watching, as the chamber groaned. We made it halfway up when the ground buckled. A crack split the tunnel wall, sand pouring in, and behind us, that roar grew louder. Amina tripped, and I hauled her up, her flashlight lost in the chaos. Kareem was ahead, screaming into his radio, but static was all we got. When we burst out into the night, the pyramid was trembling, faint at first, then violent. Above, the sky was wrong, a patch of it shimmered, mirroring the disk below, stars bleeding through. I turned back, panting, and saw it, the entity, climbing out of the tunnel, slow and deliberate. It stopped at the slab, its head tilting toward the pyramid's peak. A pulse of light shot from the stone, up into the sky, and the shimmer stabilized, a portal, hanging there, 50 feet wide. More shadows moved inside it, dozens now, stepping out one by one. They didn't attack. They spread out, surrounding the pyramid, their bodies humming in sync with the cube below. Kareem was in the jeep, engine running. "Leila, now," he yelled. Amina was already inside, clutching her gear. I climbed in, and we sped off, tires spinning in the sand. In the rear view, the entities stood like sentinels, their reflections glinting under a fractured sky. The pyramid's hum faded as we hit the highway, but my resonator was still picking it up, stronger now, broadcasting outward, not just to me. We holed up in Cairo, a cheap motel where no one asked questions. Amina wouldn't talk, she just stared at her hands, shaking. Kareem kept checking the news, expecting reports of lights over Giza, but nothing came. "They're hiding it," he muttered. I didn't care. I plugged the resonator into my laptop and ran the signal again. The coordinates hadn't changed, but the message had. It was clearer now, resolving into a single phrase, "We return." I didn't sleep that night. At dawn, my phone buzzed, a photo from an unknown number, time-stamped an hour ago. It showed the pyramid, calm under a pink sky, no cracks, no lights. But at its base, the sand was dotted with footprints, too long, too narrow, circling the stone. I checked the resonator. The signal was gone. For a moment, I thought it was over. Then I heard it, a hum, faint but growing, coming from the street outside. I looked out the window, and the air shimmered, just for a second. Across the road, a silver figure stood, faceless and still, watching me. It didn't move. It didn't have to. The hum was in my head now, and it wasn't stopping.